Okay, the first walk of 2020 for me, which today is close to Thruscross Reservoir, one of my favourite places to visit. I'm actually halfway between Thruscross and Swinsty, and I'm on the West End Lane and Hall Lane junction, if you can call that a junction in the Yorkshire Dales. But, you know, it's looking good. It's lovely and clear, which means it's very cold too. But I'm prepared, I'm all packed up, ready to go, and we shall see what we can find. So I'm not too far from where I was previously, and I'm still about 5 minutes from the car, and already we have this wonderful woodland with a babbling brook going past. Absolutely amazing. And to think all this is literally on my doorstep. So I'm going to be using a bit of a beast today. I've used this before, and it is the Pentax 645Z 51 megapixel sensor, which is a Sony sensor, the same, funnily enough, that's in the Phase 1 camera, those that are camera buffs. And the Phase 1 camera would set you back a kidney or two to buy. There we go. Bit of a beast to get in, but as you can imagine. But what a lovely, lovely camera this is. It really is. I've got the 120 lens on at the moment, and it's also a macro lens. So if any situations present themselves, I shall certainly have a go at utilising it. But for now, I'm going to change the lens, because this is the lens that was on for travelling. I'm going to change the lens to a 25mm Pentax lens, which in normal 35mm terms I think is about 11 or 18mm wide angle. So give me a second, I'll put that on and we'll carry on. I've got the camera set up. I took a picture a minute ago and it was overexposed in the sky, which not surprising because it's still quite a contrast between the ground and the sky. So I've reduced the exposure value by 1 stop, and that's given me a lot better exposure. So let's have another go. Now the benefit of this is it's got a mirror lockup button, so that's very handy, especially for landscapes, because you can lock the mirror up, which will reduce potential shake, even though it's on a tripod, potential shake, and get a better, clearer, sharper picture. So it's saying f11 at half a second, and it's on a 2-second timer just to doubly sure that there's no shake in the camera or vibration. So let's get it to focus. You can hear it. There we go. And there's only a tiny bit that's overexposed, which is in the sky, in the trees. So I'm quite happy with that. I can fix that in post-processing. So I've taken a shot already in normal format, landscape format. One of the hidden beauties of this particular camera is that if you have a spare base plate for the tripod, you can fit one on the side. It's got a 1/4-inch screw on the side to put another base plate. So you can, you won't need what's called a rig. You can go from from landscape to portrait. And it's absolutely amazing. There we go, locked in. So now I'm in complete portrait mode. The tripod hasn't changed, the height hasn't changed, the level hasn't changed, because I've set the level with the camera earlier. All that's changed is the format. Rather than trying to build a rig and faff around with it, the beauty of this Pentax is what I would call the hidden benefit, one of many, is that. So I can again focus, which I've already previously done, but I'll just double check again. There we go. And I'm focusing 1/3 of the way into the frame. So at now f16, and I've already checked with the depth of field, a depth of field preview button, another benefit you don't see on most modern cameras nowadays. and I can check the depth of field to make sure I've got the right aperture to get everything from in the front all the way to the back in focus. So now it's 8:45 in the morning. The sun is coming up around me over the edge of the top there, so there's a fantastic golden band around me, but I'm down here in the valley by the stream. But I've now reframed the shot, and it's looking straight up between a couple of trees, hitting the centre of the image, or the, well, 2/3 up into the image, with the light coming through the trees, so it's a golden glow in the middle of all this green. So everything's set up. I've switched to manual focus so it doesn't lose focus when I hit the button. Excellent, excellent. I'll just double check the focus on that. A bit of a focus freak, you could say. It is amazing. Absolutely. The clarity of this lens is absolutely stunning. And you can zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and the details are there because it's a 51 megapixel sensor. And it's, as a friend of mine would often say to me, it's lush. And I'm really pleased with that. I'll put the picture up after this and show you and see what you think. Let's do it once again. Change the exposure. Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah. The good thing about this camera as well, it's got a massive dynamic range for capturing images and detail. It's bliss. Well happy with that. Okay, so I've moved on a little now, and I'm heading towards the reservoir wall. And I shot this particular image last year, about this time of year actually, beginning of January 2019, and then I used a Canon, and I was very pleased with the shot, but that day was really overcast. But today we've got a lovely clear sky, and it's still relatively early in the day, so we've got a nice golden light, and it's absolutely amazing. It's very crisp, very cold, but I've still got the 120 macro lens on, but because it's 120 I can also use it as like a portrait lens, but the 120 will compress all the trees and the wall in this image all the way down, so it should give a really pleasing look. Now I've already pre-focused, again 1/3 of the way into the image, so I'm going to fire the shutter in a moment and check that everything's okay. I'll just see what it's telling me is the let's have a look. So it's f/16 100 at 1/8 of a second. So here we go. I'll have to put the old gimmers on again to check that. It's saying it's slightly over blown out on the top right, which is where the sky is, but I can fix that in post. But I shall just have a quick scan to make sure everything's, oh, that looks nice just as a raw image. Let me just zoom in, make sure I've got everything. Yes, I have. I'm very pleased with that. And I'll put that on the video about, well, straight after this clip actually, now that we're doing. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. We've got some lovely light, there's some lovely colours, plenty of greens, and there's some russets left over from autumn further down the track. And yeah, we've even got some blue in the sky as well. So we're okay for colours. Look really faithful, true to life. It's not overblown or too saturated. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that shot. I'll show you the actual shot, the view I've got. Just give me a moment and I shall show you. So I've shot down here. Yeah, I'll just zoom in if I can. So let's zoom in as much as I can with this particular lens, but I'm using the 11 to 22 Canon anyway. So let's take that down a bit. There we go. So there's the camera, and even now, just to show you the kind of shot that we've got, let's have a look there. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. The thing with landscape photography is that when you stop to take a photograph and you get the shot you thought you saw, before you back up and look around, you start seeing other things as well. That's why my walks, if anyone ever dares to come with me on a walk, can take a few hours at the very least, because I'm so enraptured with my surroundings and seeing what's here, and taking advantage of the kit that I've got as well, which in this case is still the 120 macro that I'm using. And I found a shot with the leaves of this ivy that you can see around, and this covered in frost, which is great, which gives you an indication of a time of year and everything. But there's some fresh ivy and there's some dead ivy. And I mean, probably isn't ivy anyway, because I'm not a botanist. But there's the russet brown and gold of the dead leaves next to the green frosted new leaves. So it's a bit of the old and a bit of the new, showing that the seasons pass. So I've framed it, composed it and shot it already, and I shall put it at the end of this particular clip for you to have a look at. But it just proves the point that you don't have to go looking for grand vistas and wonderful dapple-like landscapes. Sometimes a great shot can be literally under your nose. It's a wonderfully peaceful time at the moment. I've had one dog walker with 4 dogs, and always curious about the camera, and for some reason the tripod seems to set the dogs into a frenzy. Oh, they've never seen a tripod before. Better get out, my love. Hey, all joking aside, they're often asking how my morning's been, have I got any good shots, have I seen any deer? They sometimes give you some good tips on vantage points that I wasn't really aware of. That's always handy. But it's still relatively early for dog walkers, although I've seen one, as I said. There will be others, I'm sure. I'm still keeping my eye out for anything to photograph, either with the long lens, the landscape lens, or the macro. You can see in the distance there, you can see it through the trees, the walls of Thruscross Reservoir, so we're not far away. So I'm nearing the end, first half of my walk anyway. Just got to climb up some horrendous stairs. No, they're not really that bad actually. And that's the wall of Thruscross Reservoir that you can see there flowing through. That flows into the Washburn Valley here, and then flows into Fewston, and then Swinstead Reservoir, and then Linley Wood Reservoir, and then on through into Otley area. So quite a trek for the water, but it's a nice sight to see, because I remember 2 years ago when we had that hot summer, and the Swinstead and Fewston and Thruscross, I've never seen them as low ever. So it's a nice sight to see the water flowing over the wall down into the catchment area here, and then down the valley towards Fewston. Well, I'm halfway through the walk now, so I'm looking forward to stopping off at the top on the car park at Thruscross, having a hot coffee and some scones, which is my usual pat on the back for a walk, and I can obviously then review some of my images on my camera and then take a slightly different path back to the car, not too far off because I'm on this side of the river at the minute, and really just enjoy the weather. It's not too cold now, it's about 3 or 4 degrees. There's still a lot of frost around in the shadows and the shade, but that's very rapidly being burnt off by the sun. So I get a nice hot coffee inside me and look through the images. Well, I'm halfway through the walk now. I've had my coffee and my scones, a picture of which I'll put up in a moment just to show how cold it is at the moment. You can see actually the table I'm eating at is frozen over with frost, but the car park here at Thruscross is quite busy now, and it's 11:15 in the morning. You'd expect that on a Sunday morning. A lot of dog walkers, families. It's nice to see actually. Now normally I'd be sat under the awning of the little hut thing they've got here where I usually sit, but that's all been cordoned off for construction work with the look of it, lots of containers and stuff like that. So they're still working on the reservoir anyway. So I'm gonna pack everything up and head back mostly the way I came, but I'm gonna take a little detour, see if I can get the different shots. The sun's gone in now, there's a little bit of cloud around, but it's high cloud, it's not low. So it's diffused the light somewhat, which can sometimes make an even better picture. So I'll just say I'll put up a shot or two of my breakfast and head back to the car and see what I can find between here and there.